And they actually agree that Shaman is one of the weaker classes right now.
Well, I mean, most players would consider that. Shaman is one of the classes that benefit the least off of Goblins versus Gnomes, I feel. If you just look at the defining cards of Shaman, what do you think from GVG? It's Neptulon.
Yeah.
It's cards like Crackle.
Maybe
Power Mace.
Yeah, Power Mace I think is definitely one of the bigger ones, but it kind of, if you play Power Mace, you kind of have to replace Feral Spirit, so they're just cards that are kind of almost equally good, but they don't measure up.
And yet he's bringing it apparently, so that'll be interesting. And we took a look at StanCifka's deck. He has Warlock, Mage, and Hunter, which is different from what we have on paper. We thought StanCifka was going to play Priest, one of the 2 Priest players today. So an interesting choice indeed. So Monk, all the stats you wrote down in preparation seems to be right down the toilet.
What do you
think about that?
We'll have to figure out if the stats that we have are correct or the stats that are on the screen are slightly more accurate.
All right, well, StanCifka hailing from, I believe that is the Czech Republic.
Yes.
And we'll see if he's able to do his countrymen as well as his continental men proud. Remember, guys, this is Europe versus China. The players from Europe could not match up against the Chinese players in the first round. That's why people are like, this bracket is rigged. Deliberately did not pair Chinese players against European players. Well, that's kind of the gist of what the tournament theme is about seeing whether or not the Chinese players or the European players could face off and get the better of each other.
Yeah, I think it's even more exciting this way. If you're a Chinese player, you see China versus China matches all the time. If you're a European player, you kind of don't really want to watch China versus China matches. So in the first round, we have China versus EU. I think it's really great also that we can have like a definitive score between the Chinese players and the EU players.
Sure.
There's 8 matches. We can see if they go 4-4, or if one team just completely wrecks the other with their brilliant metagame choices and their excellent play.
Point Monk, I think the Chinese metagame is in a very cool spot, specifically just because, you've been hearing it, I've been hearing it. The Temple Storm guys who spent 3 weeks here in China says, the deck building here is really cool. It's really cool to see people pushing the envelope as opposed to sticking to... Well, here's the thing about the Western scene. They stick to a few players who lead the pack. Players like Firebat, like Strife Pro, like Kalento, they'll play a few decks and everyone will follow suit. Or even, the up-and-coming guys, Orange, for example. A lot of people are copying his Rogue deck now to tournaments. And unabashedly so, because the truth is, there's a lot of criticism against the Western players that they don't know how to think for themselves.
That's true.
China, on the other hand, I think they think plenty. Maybe sometimes a little bit too creatively.
Yeah, for example, the priest that I played in my show match yesterday, it was a China priest. They basically, their thought process behind it, as I was talking to them, was that Velen's Chosen is such a good card that not many Western priests abuse. So they pretty much built a deck around that card. They added Giblin Stalkers, the 2/3 stealth minion, just to combo with Velen's Chosen.
It's so smart too, considering how Priest normally gives up the board on turn 2, unless they have something else. Well, let's take a look at game number 1. We have Priest versus Druids. It looks like your list was correct. And remember, guys, this is a conquest, so you have to win once with each deck. That's why it's one of those interesting things where even if Priest has a weak matchup against decks like the Rogue, it still can be very valuable in the best of 5 because you just have to win one game. And if you're anticipating people to play aggressive decks like Hunter, and even Mage, for example, that Priest can prey on it.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting that we see a priest from a Western player instead of priest from the more Eastern Chinese players. In our lineups today, we actually have only 2 priests, and they're both from the European players. So, priest is actually a class that's more respected in the Eastern scene. But we actually seen StanCifka playing just pretty much a standard control priest. I have to ask him why he decided to choose this, where almost everyone else.
We'll see. Maybe he has some interesting cards. I think I saw. I want to see what you top out at, right? Because that's the big question. Priest, how they end up wrapping the deck out with Dr. Boom or Mind Control is always what's interesting. But yeah, it's definitely worth evaluating.
Yeah, I think in previous iterations of Priest, when GVG first came out, most players didn't really play Dr. Boom, but now that classes such as Rogue have become more popular, I think Dr. Boom is one of the tech cards even against Rogue. I mean, of course it's a good card overall, but
specifically against Rogue. It's on curve against Rogue, it's very reminiscent of the pressure that Handlock likes to drop. They just like to drop big threats. Rogue can't deal with the 7 health easily, not to mention It's strong against AoE. Well, it looks like StanCifka's roping on turn 1, whether or not he wants to play the Snow Shadow Cleric to potentially get rocked by a Wrath. And he's going to opt to pass. And that makes sense. You're not really wasting too much by playing it now versus next turn with the guaranteed 1 health buff or 2 health buff.
This is StanCifka's first LAN tournament. And I think his thinking going into this is that, I've watched a lot of Hearthstone tournaments on streams, and I've seen this particular player. His name is Life Coach, and I don't think he plays slow enough. I think I can do a little better than that.
Yeah, maybe he wants to make himself notorious within the competitive scene as being a guy who takes his time. And right back, IceFox taking his time. He's thinking, you know what? I don't think I'm going to use the coin to hero power. I'm just going to pass, and that is the correct move.
I think in specific situations when you see your opponent, he takes so long in his first turn, you kind of almost feel bad when you take like a short amount of time, even though you pretty much don't really have any options on turn 2.
So it's for the mind games. Okay, it looks like a pretty traditional control priest. We have the Injured Blade Master, and that card usually is pretty identified as an important one for priests early on with the Circle of Healing combinations. And against Druid, I think Injured Blade Master is one of the key components to make sure that the board doesn't get away from you early on, especially with cards like Pilot Shredder, which is just so problematic for priests to deal with.
Yeah, Druid just generally has a hard time dealing with a 4/7 on turn 3, or even turn 2 with the coin.
I think most classes would. I think there's only a handful that can deal with it almost instantly, like Shaman and Rogue.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course you have the Sap, you have the Hex, but you also have like Aldor, which is kind of a good answer. You have Execute as well from Warrior.
Yeah, we still need a little help from it, so it's like a 2-card combo. All right, so another rope and goes for the Wild Pyromancer. We could be in for quite a long day, Monk. I thought 4 matches was going to be easy breezy, lemon squeezy, and we would get out by an appropriate time, maybe like 9 p.m., but I don't think so. StanCifka is pretty intent on making sure that he milks out every single second as long as possible.
And IceFox also following suit, although this, I guess, was a pretty quick turn. His hand seems pretty much planned out for the next few turns. Because he has the coin, he's going to be able to play 2 Pilot Shredders in a row. And, of course, Pilot Shredders are the magic 4 attack. Oh, StanCifka looks like he's in very deep thought. He's not even looking at the screen right now. He's looking into his mind's eye for the correct play this turn.
Quite possibly. I think he's getting to his temple, Monk. That's the correct terminology for Mensa graduates. I'm not saying StanCifka is trying to do this purposely. Let me rephrase. I don't think he's doing it maliciously. I think he's actually trying to agonize over some of these decisions. I mean, I think dropping the Injured Blade Master after you saw Wrath is perfectly fine. The question is, do you trust your opponent to deal with it immediately? And I think he should be okay.
Yeah, I don't think he minds if this gets swiped either. Just another Wrath would probably not be the best. The Wrath would be the worst response.
It would have to be a coin swipe too. So you force him to give up something a little bit extra.
We see that a lot of the roping players, like Life Coach, they have this like specific thing where they put their hands on their heads.
Yeah. Maybe that's the technique. Maybe StanCifka is doing a giant Life Coach impression. He also was writing down everything, too.
Exactly. Very meticulous. Pretty good turn here from StanCifka. Pretty much worked out almost exactly the way he wanted. He's able to use all 4 mana, buff his Blade Master, and even draw some cards. His hand was actually getting a bit low. Whoa! Was that the perfect draw?
That was one of the best draws and one of the best outcomes for StanCifka. That was brilliant. Yeah, keeping that Injured Blade Master as healthy as possible. I mean, you buff the Injured Blade Master even more, right? With the Powered Shield?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, just to play around swipe, definitely.
You don't want to lose that, because that's your big board controller.
He could be also thinking that maybe my opponent didn't have a swipe last turn, because I think if your opponent does have a swipe against an Injured Blade Master that's in the control of a priest, you probably want to get rid of it right away, or these kind of shenanigans will happen. So, okay, so he does go for the Blade Master. Yeah, just a bit of a more safer play. If your opponent top decks the swipe, it could be insane.
He'd be really sad if his opponent top deck naturalized.
I mean, Naturalize actually, you joke about it, but Naturalize is a card that Chinese players use.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, wow. So Swipe is top decked, but unfortunately it's not very useful. And this is probably the worst situation possible for the Druid player. Yeah.
Yeah, the worst outcome possible out of Pilot Shredder. Actually, I guess technically not the worst outcome. You know why Captain's Parrot's not the worst outcome?
Because it's a beast?
Because Druid could play Druid as a thing.
Yeah.
If it was Novice Engineer, that's actually the worst.
All right, so how can Druid come back from this game? Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, there's the second Pilot Shredder seems like it's a logical conclusion. Next turn you also coin Wild Growth. Priest isn't going to rush you down, at least by normal expectation. We of course see Ragnaros as a way to potentially finish, but you still can take your time, and you never know if on the off chance the Pilot Shredder drops a Doomsayer, right, Monk?
Yeah, of course. Pilot Shredder into Doomsayer, definitely one of the ways he could come back. I think another way, whenever I get into this situation as the Priest player, the one thing I don't want to see is a Sylvanas on turn 6.
Okay. You like this swipe?
I think it's correct because he has to deal with that Northshire. If the Priest draws even more cards, I don't think the Druid would be able to come back. So
fair enough.
I mean, there's two problems right in the previous turn: the potential card draw, in addition to the board state.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, this board state is just going to get worse every single turn. Now you can play the I think just an easy turn would just be playing the second injured Blade Master and then perhaps healing that as well. He could also play the Arcanine, but if you play Arcanine, that means you're probably not going to get any more heals with your onto your Blade Master anytime soon. And you at this stage of the game, you really want to leverage your hero power.
IceFox.
That's a good one. It's not only great because it allows you to play Ancient of Lore, but you also draw potentially closer into things that might save you at this point.
Right. Being problematic and being able to steal one of those minions. He also has combo. He doesn't have enough pressure on the board to leverage that. So realistically, it might be one of those things where sometimes the Druid falls too far behind and has to use that defensively, in which case Priest locks up the game because Druid can't threaten the combo anymore.
There are situations where I've seen Druid clear the board with combo and still win the game, but that's when the Priest player hasn't drawn 3 cards off his Northshire Cleric. Basically, the Priest has to have a really clunky hand. He has to run out of cards in his hand, and the Priest can just win by having too many minions that his opponent can't deal with.
Okay, so this is the play that I originally thought he was going to do with the double Pilot Shredder into a coin. Oh, it's not a coin, it's Wild Growth, so that way on turn 6, he can play the Ancient of Lore. But he chooses to go for it now.
I think with this play, he might be planning to use the combo next turn to clear the board.
That's some really next level stuff. It's pretty painful exchange too, because these injured Blade Masters are bullying the board. I don't even mind just healing up one of the injured Blade Masters a little bit and then playing just an Arcanine Soul Priest and pressuring.
I don't like the Sylvanas play. I mean, that is the obvious play on 6. But if your opponent... actually, if your opponent plays the Sylvanas, you can just death your own Sylvanas. So I guess that's even fine.
Okay, that's also true. No, you're right, you're right. I was thinking the same thing too, dropping Sylvanas against an empty board, but it is a 5/5 threat. I wonder if StanCifka is being told that he needs to hurry the F up because all the Chinese fans are like, StanCifka. Oh, he's being told he can't take notes.
Oh, I see. And then, okay. Unfortunately for him, he loses part of his turn, and now he's roping yet again.
I wonder if all of a sudden he just like forgets how to play Hearthstone. He has to read every card. He's like,
Well, you know, Life Coach had something similar happen to him when Naz Dormu came down on the board. He absolutely played terribly. Like I think like a level rank 15 player might have played better in his situation.
Yikes. Oh, you're right. He has to use the combo to clear. This is a really painful exchange.
It's painful, especially because a lot of the minions on the board have odd amounts of health, so you can't clear very cleanly here.
Yeah.
I think... See, there's... you have to leave either one of the Blade Masters or the Sylvanas alive, and it's all about which one you find more threatening. Do you find like the 4/9 Blade Master more threatening, or do you find the Sylvanas more threatening?
I find Sylvanas way more threatening.
Okay, this is
I mean,
probably...
you can do both.
Okay, but you leave a 4/7 Blade Master.
Right, but it's not the 4/9. And you would also turn to a 4/6. I mean, right now, StanCifka is so far ahead. He's got so much damage with Redding with Ragnaros on a clear board next turn, so he just has to pressure a little bit.
Oh, that's
interesting. He could end the game next turn.
Wow, the aggressive priest. I think most players would have gone for the heal and the Blade Master in this situation, but StanCifka sees the blood, and he knows he can finish this game. He sets up lethal even with potentially with Ragnaros, and he also sets up lethal if your opponent doesn't clear.
I mean, he needs to heal himself with the Ancient of Lust. The only way he can
exactly.
That's why I like the play. It's very aggressive. And this is assuming that his opponent can't just clear the board, and then he sets up a 50-50 to win with Ragnaros.
Yeah, he saw his opponent was probably very desperate in his last few turns, using his combo to clear, and he also, and over the course of the game, he's pretty much been playing board clears throughout the entire game, a Wrath, a Swipe, and then combo, and he hasn't been playing too many minions. I think this is actually the second minion he's played in the entire game, so he probably suspects that his opponent's hand is full of minions and not removal spells.
Here's an interesting thought. Is this one of the scenarios where you don't show Ragnaros? Actually, it doesn't matter because you've won the game. Never mind. It's Conquest. Still casting as if his last hero standing, Monk.
Yeah. Well, also, with the rules in this tournament, you can actually switch your deck after every round.
Right.
Except from the semifinals to the finals. So after the round of 16, players will be able to resubmit their decks. So StanCifka, if he wins this match, he'll be able to play the same priest, except maybe without Ragnaros, maybe without Dr. Boom. When his opponent's tech in like BGH, he'll be like, "Ha, got you."
I think his last chance to survive now is to Azure Drake into a swipe. But the thing is, that still guarantees his death because
the second
Akanai.
Exactly.
But in his point of view, at least IceFox will stay alive for one more turn. I mean, anything else almost leads to a certain death.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking if there's some way to get a Doomsayer off, but
nope.
That is not it. And StanCifka takes the early lead, and Europe takes the early lead, 1-0.
Yeah, first on the board, Stan. Second Molten Giant?
No, not exactly.
That might help, though, right?
So I think obviously the Molten Giant is going to come down. I think the Sun Fairy definitely needs to come down. So there's
4 mana.
There's 4 mana left.
So second Giant.
You can have the choice between second Giant or the Farseer. I think you can pretty much... Well, can you rule out Kill Command? I don't think you can rule out Kill Command yet, so... But the other thing is, I don't think you can even really play around Kill Command.
Yeah, I think this is the time to do it, because he'd be doing 16 damage on the backswing. He's got heals, too. I think this is actually his best chance.
Oh, wow. And the game is actually not over. A lot of minions, but no Kill Command just yet.
I mean, if Hunter can't deal those last points of damage directly with kill commands, maybe a bit off more than they could shoot, Monk.
Yeah, I see that IceFox was actually hovering over the piloted Shredder, so he might even be thinking of that. He needs to weave in hero powers. Exactly.
Yeah.
His board is pretty strong right now, actually.
What about just straight up Dr. Boom, though? Like,
I mean, that's always an option.
Yeah.
I actually like Dr. Boom better. The bombs also...
bombs might just end the game.
Exactly.
You just never know on the off chance it does happen. Because he can't just simply Shadow Flame anymore if he needs to clear the board. I think Dr. Boom is great. Okay. Cashing in those 1/1s makes sense, too.
Yeah, you might have to like run all your minions in next turn, and you're just way less vulnerable to AoE.
Ooh, this is nice. Second heal bot. I went full of Maz for that turn. That was a really big draw, I think, because that gives him so much longevity.
The problem, yet again, is that his hand has a lot of cards that cost 5 mana, but not a lot of cards that cost 2 mana.
That's true.
So he saw his opponent did not have Kill Command the last turn. I think he has to play around it. He can't play around it this turn, yet again.
I mean,
but you do have to play around all the bombs hitting you in the face, I guess.
yeah.
And okay, let's see how much power is on the board. There's
Right.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So the giant, it'll be
get
able to
Immortal
take down
Coil.
Dr. Boom.
I mean, it just has to do minimal damage to everything.
Ooh, BGH.
1 damage to the giant would be good.
BGH is what I would call a huge draw.
So now he's got to trade with Dr. Boom, right?
Well, he can BGH.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I wasn't paying. I was just looking at his looking at the board state.
And then
Yeah, Farseer.
Farseer. Okay, Farseer to face. So again, this actually plays around kill command. Or does it? No, I think kill command still kills him.
Does it matter if you kill a 2/2 versus face? Yeah,
Yeah, kills the
suppose
2/2.
not.
What's he playing around by killing the 2/2? A Leok?
Direwolf Alpha, Leok?
Yeah, Direwolf. Yeah, I guess.
Or in this case, Equal Hornbow.
So again, there's a chance for him to just win right now if the boom hot hit is true. Okay.
Yeah, actually, if it hits for 2 or more.
33
33 and then a 75.
No. I mean, that wasn't bad, but you probably wanted guaranteed lethal.
But he still gets to weave into hero power, so this isn't terrible. Do you cash in? I think.
You know, I'm beginning to suspect that this hunter might not even run kill commands. I have seen hunters recently not run kill commands, but
like more control.
Well, basically just more minions. I actually played a hunter that back in the day.
He's got deadly shot, so it's not necessarily more minions.
Well, more minions, more other spells that.
Right. Oh, you're saying those other hunters?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you're saying this hunter probably is the case.
Yeah. So, I think if he doesn't run kill command, it could make him play much differently.
I like the face. Just because you have the Eagle Horn bow and you need to try to pressure in. Another pretty huge draw. The problem is, like you said, Monk, clunkiness of the mana.
So, if he plays the Sludge Belcher, he has to trade
the BGH.
Yeah, BGH into the 2/2, or he still dies.
That's why that attack is pretty clever, I think. The attack from the 2/2 from IceFox. He's so close to stabilizing too. That's what's so nuts.
Yeah, this is such an intense game. We thought this game was fairly over in the first few turns, but StanCifka has been able to make the right reads and make the correct lines of plays to ensure that if his opponent didn't have certain cards, that he would still have a potential to be in the game. And yet again, another hard turn. He has pretty much all the tools he needs, but does he have the time to play them all? 2 anti-kill bots, a Siphon Soul, a lot of taunts, and even the Sludge Belcher.
Sludge Belcher is his only way to survive. I mean, it is the right call, but the most painful aspect is this trade right here. Trading down. Of course, Kill Command can just end the game.
Leper Gnome.
Leper Gnomes. Well,
now that confuses me.
Yeah. I guess he's not. I mean, there's nothing stopping him from doing that. Do you drop the Leper Gnome or the Pilot?
That's a good question.
Or maybe you could do both, but I would like to weave in the hero power.
Yeah, I like that as well. Just makes your bow lethal.
Yeah. I don't think I would have been mad if you used Leper Gnome here, but obviously Pilot Shredder is just more mana efficient and.
I think I kind of like this a little better because it just forces something that your opponent has to deal with. Exactly.
Wow, what a good draw. And
actually now he regrets not playing the Leper Gnome.
Now I wish he wished he played the Leper Gnome. Unless this Pilot Shredder does something amazing. What can this Pilot Shredder do?
Let's see. Direwolf Alpha wouldn't be great. Patient Assassin maybe.
Ooh, Patient Assassin would be sick.
Explosive Sheep perhaps? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. This is obviously anti-kill bot double taunt turn. And so good that he got that Sun Fury back from the freezing trap as well.
Okay. Is this relevant?
We'll see. I mean, you might as well play it. Anyway. Yikes. It's not the one you wanted.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I guess it's better than Leok, though.
I suppose you crash the gates, right? Still?
Yeah, just go...
High main and pilot into the Molten.
I would like to see the Pilot Shredder be traded first. Yep. Just to see what you get.
Also...
Oh, you know what? Flame Tongue Totem could be really good here.
Oh, you're right. That's so interesting.
Is it a Flame Tongue? Mech Warper. Fortunately, not too many mechs in this deck.
Yeah.
And IceFox,
yeah, he was playing for the chance of Flame Tongue. That was really very cute from him.
You know, even though that it looks... we saw IceFox shaking his head, but I still don't think it looks that bad for him. Just because StanCifka, he was forced to pretty much not hero power for the last few turns.
Right.
So he's not, his cards in his hand are not like... I guess he has Dr. Boom. But they're not that numerous, I would say.
Yeah, still under a pretty significant amount of pressure here. The big problem, once again, is the Siphon Soul costs a little bit too much for everything else.
Exactly. The difference between 5 and 6 mana is actually extremely huge. At 10 mana, you can play 2 5-mana cards, but you can't really play 2 6-mana cards. So we actually saw Firebat play a Druid deck back in one of the Dream Hacks recently, where he actually played around 7 5-drops, just so on turn 10 you could play a lot of 5-drops in succession. And normally, like 5-drops are 2 5-drops on turn 10 is one of the strongest turns you can have as any class.
Well, he's got to weigh his options on whether or not he wants to drop down some truth or drop down some defensiveness. T-Killbot and Lotheb would put him back to 17. There's so much represented on the board, though. Oh, man. At least he... Yeah, even if he has kill command... I mean, there's just so much damage on board. So he's going to cross his fingers for no kill command off the top.
Oh, that's not it.
Okay.
I think, let's see, there's...
10, 14 damage right now.
Yep.
You just go for it, right?
Yeah, I don't think you have any other option. The thing is, like...
maybe you could pick up a better trade.
You see 2 kill commands. Sorry, you've seen 2 anti-kill bots already. And you've seen 1 Othering Farseer. So there's probably actually not any more heal.
The Siphon Soul, but...
In the...
Jiraxxus?
Oh, Siphon Soul. I guess 3 points of heal. Jiraxxus. If your opponent Jiraxxus, it's still not bad for you because you'll probably still be able to kill him, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, you brought him down to effectively 3 health, so... Jiraxxus would be pretty big. Alex Strauss as well.
I think you keep the Knife Juggler here just in case you draw Unleash.
Is there any chance that he might die on the backswing? There's 10, 16 damage.
So
if his opponent double Dark Bombed?
So let's say an Owl, and then...
Owl double Dark Bomb.
Exactly. Owl power.
I mean, that's pretty unlikely given he has 3 cards.
And also given that he's been floating a lot of mana, and also he's been floating like 2 mana turns sometimes.
Oh, man. Ah, it's so close. If he was able to drop the Sludge Belcher and Siphon Soul Monk, I think he would have won this game.
Yeah, but right now I don't see any way for him to win. There's at least 4 damage will be done to him in the next turn. So, what's he gonna be able to clear?
Well, he's gonna try. He has to trade everything down. You leave up the Leopard Gnome on the chance you get a silence, right?
Yeah, of course. You just kind of you also leave up the Leopard Gnome because it's not a beast and it's not a mech. So if somehow the Hunter deck has some kind of weird synergies with
here we go. Oh. Wow. Where does this juggle hit? To the face? Oh.
That's not even good.
Yeah, I was just like he missed minions. So like, what if the minions end up like being able to get strong enough to fight back? He's scared of dying, man. He's really scared about potentially dying.
Yeah, I would be too, to be honest. And now we're in a situation where Jiraxxus is actually could just win the game.
Last chance.
Go!
Oh, that's too bad. Defender of Argus. Wait. You gonna try to pop the secret on something? Okay, freezing trap.
I mean, of course, this is the Conquest format, so the Hunter won't be used again.
Wow, good game, man. That was a really good game. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. StanCifka, I was really impressed at StanCifka's play, actually.
Yeah, Chinese people, both in the audience and the fellow players, were clapping in support. I guess when StanCifka won, they weren't happy at all.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, guys, there's a Ferrari on the line here if a Chinese player wins the tournament.
Yeah. So actually, the story. Let's talk a little bit about the story behind the Ferrari.
Yeah, so yesterday one guy tried to break into the Ferrari, and that's kind of like the only time we mentioned it on stream, really. But about a year ago.
Yeah, I would say a year ago.
Was it a year ago?
Yeah.
Wow. We had Europe versus China. People might see that Swiss tournament online back in the day with like Life Coach and Savitz and stuff.
It was Life Coach, Savitz, RDU, and Bahirit. All very strong players.
Oh man, 3 out of 4 of those guys. I mean, Bahirit's actually pretty well known too. If you remember team, this is the team that your near you was on. Innovation.
Innovation, exactly.
Yeah, that's right. Bahirit was one of the. He was like the Death Star to Firebat, as Bahirit was to Toyota and Nyria and a number guy.
I wonder how many people get those references.
Right, probably not that many, but if you are pretty hardcore into the scene, basically Bahirit was one of those support semi-pros that was like the responsible for a lot of the players that you know now being successful. Either way, he was one of those 4 players. The other 3 you know, Life Coach, Savitz, and RDU. And those 4 guys rocked China. 4-0, wasn't even close. China was so embarrassed that the president, the CEO of NetEase, says, the winner of this tournament, I am willing to get a Ferrari for him if they're able to take it as a way to win the honor and pride back. And ever since then, China's been a flame for Hearthstone. Exactly. I mean, they already were pretty fervent about it, but if there's anything to light a fire under your ass, winning a $170,000 car is a good way to motivate.
Is it 170? I heard some quoted as 300,000.
300?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe 170 if you just want the wheels and the chassis. If you don't even want the engine, you probably can get for 170.
All right, so StanCifka is going to try his luck at the handlock again. It didn't do so well for him last time, but I think he's probably not a very good matchup for him.
Well, this Druid deck has Black Knight, so that's already better than normal Druid decks. It still struggles if he doesn't get traditional draws. He's thinking about tossing about Twilight Drake. He really doesn't feel that confident in facing off against the Keeper of the Groves, huh?
Yeah, it's actually, I would say it's a bit strange. Also, another strange mulligan from the Chinese player, even keeping the Pilot Shredder, not going for the typical Western play would be just the mulligan everything for those Shades, Wild Growth, and Innervates.
Would you ever want to keep a card like Black Knight against Handlock?
I've definitely seen it kept.
Just because of how good it is.
Yeah, but also I've seen it kept against Handlocks. I've seen it kept against Druids, but again, I think you really want that Wild Growth. And IceFox not really punished for keeping the Pilot Shredder. In fact, it's probably even better for him.
Rewarded. Yeah, there's actually no point in coining out the Wild Growth here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He's bluffing.
Yeah. The best part about Hearthstone is watching players mouse over cards that they can't play.
Right. If the POV was flipped, you'd be able to see what StanCifka sees. So he's making it believe as if he has Innervate, but we know he only has half of an Innervate.
Now, it's really interesting to me that StanCifka, he chose to keep Twilight Drake against the Hunter, but not against the Druid.
Right. You got it back anyways. I guess it makes sense where it's like if you lose Keeper of the Grove the Twilight to Keeper of the Grove, you don't actually gain that much traction. In fact, you're pretty behind on board. You're taking pressure. Versus Mountain Giant is just so problematic. It's very, very rare to see Druids run double Big Game Hunter nowadays.
Now we're again in the classic situation of Handlock where he has a decision to make. Does he play the Mountain Giant or the Twilight Drake? I've heard many opinions on this, so I want to hear yours, Frodan.
I generally say Mountain Giant first, just because the rarity of Big Game Hunter versus Twilight or Keeper of the Grove. And for this very reason as well, like Twilight Drake, if he got it, you know he has coin, you know he has something on the board, you're like asking to fall behind.
Yeah, what I've heard is that basically if your opponent can deal with the Twilight Drake, such as with the Keeper, plus he can weave in a hero power or he has a minion on the board, then you'd rather play the Mountain Giant.
I get it. You can play it for 3 mana here, you can squeeze in an extra card, but just look at how he's getting punished, considering the cards in the Druid's hand. It's like, that's the scenario you're always afraid of. He has combo, you're already at 20, and you're going to be counting backwards from that point on. He just picks up Innervate, and this game might be over. Yeah,
of course. IceFox does indeed have the combo in his hand right now, so StanCifka, he's always pretty much from turn 9 onward, he's going to have to play around the combo, and that's something usually very difficult for the Handlock player. Right now we can see the Handlock player is kind of at a deficit in the board, and at some point, again, before turn 9, he's going to have to retake it and keep it for the rest of the game. Oh, that Druid of the Fang synergy.
If only. Yeah, swiping this down, the best thing to do.
You know,
I don't think people are playing Faceless Manipulator.
Exactly.
Anymore,
I was just gonna mention that. Before, when Faceless Manipulator was played in every single handlock deck, you pretty much had to kill off the Giants right away. But these days, like you can pretty much afford to not play. Yeah, leave it up and maybe just
next turn and coin. But I still think so you could go for the smooth curve, but I think Innervate this turn on the Drake is really powerful because he can't answer easily.
Yeah. Not only that, but you power up your Wrath and you draw into more cards that you could potentially play on turns 3 and 4.
It's true. That's really bad news too for IceFox. But he does have something to play on turn 3. If he passed this turn, I'd say the game's over. But that keeps him in slightly. Ooh. Okay, so we see a Senjin Shield Master. So that's pretty reminiscent of more rampish style and defensiveness, or maybe at least Taunt Druid.
Yeah. There's a lot of cards in this. Well, the Mind Control tech is actually a card that is in a lot of more control-y druids, more rampy, more wally druids. Wally, more druids that are the more wall style.
Great movie.
But the Lotheb is a card that we typically don't see in wall druids, so it could be a mix between the two. We haven't seen the combo yet, so we're not really sure.
That second Innervate Monk is so delicious. Oh man. I already sense the tears. Monk, I can see into the future. In 10 seconds from now, IceFox is going to be pissed. Oh, sorry. Well, no.
You mean in about a minute?
In about a minute and 10 seconds from now. Okay, no. StanCifka is playing. In about 3 minutes from now.
Okay.
IceFox is going to be really pissed.
Oh, drawing dead yet again. Oh, that's unfortunate. I think right now you can even consider the Savage Roar. You have 2 in your hands.
Yeah, that's true. Savage Roar is pretty clean. Actually,
you know what? I like that because if you play the Savage Roar right now, your Shade next turn becomes 5 attack, and then you can contest the Ancient of Lore that will almost certainly come down. And you can even contest the Lotheb if StanCifka decides to play that for some reason. Actually,
for some reason.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think if Savage Roar goes off right now, Lotheb might be the play.
You think so?
Along with Innervate plus Wrath.
I feel like Ancient of Lore opens up opportunities a little bit cleaner because you can always Lotheb the following turn, and then because Innervate loses power as time goes on. So I feel like you should capitalize on the card draw to pick up into combo pieces.
But I think he's gonna need to clear the Shade. Actually, so Savage Roar doesn't go down this turn, and again, I think he has to clear the Shade somehow, so Innervate is going to be used along with Lotheb, I feel.
Fair enough. You don't want to Wrath for 1 to draw?
Wrath for 1.
Isn't Wrathing for 1 the ideal scenario in almost every Druid mirror? It's a clean kill.
Yeah, I like Wrath here because you want to draw closer to your combo if you have that in your deck. And I guess you don't take the extra 3 damage that you would by Hero Empowering, but the damage typically isn't as big a deal as board control. Wow, Earthring Farseer. I haven't seen that since the times when Amaz was winning a lot of tournaments overseas.
Tice actually used to play a lot of Farseers in his Druid deck for the board control.
Oh man.
Well,
I don't think IceFox has had a good turn yet in this entire game.
He's had a good turn 3.
Shade turn 3, I would say. His turn 4 was like pass. Turn 5, use a hero power. So yeah, does the BGH come down here?
At this point, you're so far behind on board. The thing is, like, the BGH doesn't even enable you to do much. Because even if it contests Lotheb 1 for 1 and you can hero power it down, not only are you taking 10 damage, I guess 9 if you hero power, but that denies you from being able to play the Ancient of Lore the following turn too. But if you don't play Big Game Hunter, then Lotheb's definitely not challenged, and you are going to be in a really bad spot because how are you supposed to deal with the 5 health creature otherwise with normal spells like Swipe and Wrath? So I think Big Game Hunter is the play, but I think IceFox is so far behind that I'm already prepared to crown a winner for this series, Monk.
Oh yeah, exactly. If you skip like 3 or 4 turns in a Druid mirror especially, then there's pretty much no way for you to come back. I'm actually really impressed at how well IceFox is doing considering the draws that he's had.
Pretty unlucky.
I mean, Wild Growth this late, no Innervates versus 2 Innervates, and you have 3 pieces of the combo in your hand.
I mean, oh man.
I think with the decision not to play the BGH, he's thinking that if my opponent plays like a Dr. Boom on turn 7, maybe I can swing it around. But this board is just insane right now.
He has to heal, right? Oh, never mind. He's gonna go with the Lotheb. It denies the Savage Roar already.
And again, he's gonna have to use the Savage Roar combo to clear next turn, almost certainly.
Oh, Dr. Boom right on curve. Don't mind if I do. I mean, even if his opponent has the big game hunter, he has to deal with the Boom bots, which threaten Savage Roar, killing damage, and that's how strong the Booms is, or the Booms be.
So if he plays, if he trades into this Lotheb, he trades Lothebs basically, and then plays Dr. Boom. It might actually be somewhat possible for IceFox to kind of stabilize. He's going to be able to play the Force of Nature to clear Sylvanas, and he's going to be able to play the BGH to clear the Dr. Boom. And it's pretty much going to be 2 Boom bots versus a BGH next turn, which is kind of manageable, but you still give StanCifka the initiative.
Even if IceFox was allowed to pick every single card from this point on, Monk, that he could draw from all of Hearthstone, do you think he could win?
I think this position actually looks a lot better than the position he was in 2 turns ago. He decided to keep the Dr. Boom.
He's at 13 health. He's about he's facing 2 Boombots into Sylvanas after he BGHs. You really think so?
Well, he can clear the Sylvanas this turn as well with the Force of Nature.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so...
okay, but he gives initiative to his opponent.
Yeah, of course. And your opponent does have the Ancient of Lore. But just judging by the card choices in this Druid deck, you see the Earthring Farseer, you see the Ascension Shield Master. It tells me that this is more of a defensive deck. And I kind of suspect that there's only one copy of the combo in this deck.
Sure.
Or at least only one Force of Nature, so...
Ooh, okay. How much is the Boombot? He doesn't even see. 1 damage. Wow. Okay. 6 damage. 8 damage with the Keeper of the Real. So it still needs a little bit more. Swipe would have ended.
2 Earthring Farseers. Very interesting. What you can do here is just heal your Sylvanas 2 times, I guess.
You don't want to just play like Ancient of Lore and try to draw into the last bits of damage? I mean, Sylvanas is already problematic with the more minions he has, right?
That's true. What is this? Oh, it's a Keeper. Okay.
All right, double 4 drop here is okay too.
That's pretty good, actually.
More mana efficient.
I guess the only downside of this play is that it doesn't play around Mind Control tech. But again, it sets up lethal very well, so your opponent's going to be able to have to clear it at some point.
Well, darn. Looks like he has to combo out of this one. And even then, your opponent has... oh, was he hoping?
Oh,
hey, Monk, I don't know if we thought about this, but I think he was hoping for a double combo. And his opponent wasn't playing a taunt.
Oh, yeah. That's a really good
point.
point.
He had 2 Savage Roars and a Force of Nature. If he drew Innervate, he would have had 29 damage.
Wow, that's a lot of damage indeed.
He would have killed him. And assuming he just played like Ancient of Lore, and that happened the way it did. So that was that's actually really clever. Even in this tough spot, IceFox is thinking about his outs, and he played to his 1 out.
Unfortunately, he's gonna. This Boombot might almost be the end of him. Like he has to hit something with his face. He's gonna take 1 damage from the Boombot, perhaps, and then he maybe up to 4 damage from the Boombot blast. And then he has no way, essentially, to deal with the Ancient of Lore and Earthring Farseer coming down.
Ugh, gross.
All right.
All right, how much is this Boombot going to do? 1 damage? If it does 4 damage, the game's over. Boom!
3 damage, wow. So a Keeper is lethal? Do we see a Keeper?
Anything. Drew the Claw, Swipe.
Wow, it's actually not lethal.
Claw.
I want to really see more of this deck, because does this deck even have combos? I mean, again, more defensive cards. Sludge Belcher.
Yeah. Alright, IceFox needs Alex Strauss.
He's just gonna hero power. He doesn't even care about the Earthring Farseer.
IceFox needs Jiraxis off the top.
Swipe is...
keeps him alive.
Yeah, Swipe is good.
Keeps him alive by 1! He has to Keeper of the Grove this Ancient of Lore down. I mean, this is for his tournament life. This is single elimination, guys.
Yeah, if IceFox IceFox is eliminated here, he's pretty much out of the tournament. He's gonna have a few idle days coming up. In fact, this tournament is 4 days, so he's gonna be kind of just chilling at his hotel for the next 3 days.
Thinking about where it all went wrong. Wild Growth drawn gives him an opportunity to end the game. Oh, okay, so he's just going to draw twice. If he draws the first card lethal, then...
Okay, 2 Sunwalkers.
Okay, so it is Taunt Druid. It is Taunt Druid. He said, I'm going to China to compete, so I'll bring even greater walls.
Yeah. How long have you been saving that one, Rodan?
No, I just thought of it, man.
It's very clever.
I'm not the most clever of people, but when I do think of it,
okay,
they can be pretty damn clever.
So, yet again, IceFox is going to be able to survive with the Druid of the Claw Savage War. You know, I think the reason that StanCifka decided to bring this type of Druid was that he heard that China's ladder especially had a lot of aggro decks. In fact, I saw some Chinese players playing playing ladder the past few days, and pretty much I saw about 11 games. 5 of them were Mech Mage, 5 of them were Hunter, and 1 of them was a Druid. So again, Ramp Druid pretty good against, I would say, almost all of them. Double Sunwalker, oh man.
I mean...
imagine if he played a Sunwalker and his opponent drew a Black Knight. But we know he has a Black Knight in his deck.
I mean, he just needs a Druid of the Claw to end the